of this presentation is what we did the end of last year. So if you were here, it was in April, but we thought it would be just good information to click back through real quick and communicate with the dozens of new staff members that have joined us, and welcome. So we gave survey the end of last year, and this was kind of what the students told us, or what their data told us. So we compared before PBIS existed to 1 year of PBIS being in the school. So they said over the year, they thought the staff members treated them not as fairly as they could. So that was something that we said, okay, we'll work on that. They feel like we didn't know when they were doing something right. So that's why we encouraged you at a hotspot, like say positive things and use the strong conversations in the hallway and all of that stuff. The hallways, they felt, didn't really change much. Now, our perception's obviously different. We've talked about that. Even people who have been in the building that didn't know what was happening have said how amazing it is. But that's the students' perception. And then they actually said they were feeling less safe in the cafeteria and at dismissal. So we don't really get like the why necessarily unless we talk to individual kids. So sometimes that's like, well, we don't feel as safe because now we know you're watching us and we can't get away with what we got before, you know, that kind of stuff. So we just kind of take it with a grain of salt, but that's what the students felt after a year of PBIS.
And this is us, our staff perception. So the things that we need to work on is really just being at our hotspots. And you're there not only for student safety, but so you can connect to some of those students that are walking by you that maybe you normally wouldn't see. So for me, like I get to see my 7th and 8th graders that are kids that I don't know they're on the other side of the hallway. So you just need to be making those connections. And then I think CKH kind of takes care of the be more kind and treat students more fairly. So taking care of that.
Okay, this was also all of the data that we pulled from OnCourse after a year. So we're gonna kind of zip through this, but we can share it via email or Canvas or Rampage or whatever y'all, if you wanna see it again. I think you want me to just go, oh, it's not she.
Hi, so this is a nice breakdown of how many kids were actually in OnCourse and how many were not. So if you look, about 40% of kids actually got to the point where they needed to be entered into OnCourse. The rest of the 60 were not in OnCourse. And then there's a breakdown of male and female, so yeah, that's pretty spectacular. Yeah.
Okay, and this was breakdown by grade level. If you knew the 7th graders last year, this all made sense. But this is good information for new people because the 7th grade data up here is who is now the 8th graders. So that's what we're, and obviously the 6th is now 7th. So we know what to expect. Oh, and this is me too. Okay, so when we pull data, we pull it from OnCourse by the 4 incident codes that we've asked you to use, and we're going to go over those again in a second. But this is kind of the breakdown. So students who got ISS or OSS last year are green. Short-term ISS is yellow. Students who had inappropriate behaviors or interactions, which could have been like cussing or horseplay or disrespect or anything that was not appropriate that way, was about 22%. And then the students who got in trouble in the classroom, like disruption of a learning environment, was almost 40%. So just to review real quick, and Tangi and Mehdi and some other people are handing out just a reminder about the incident codes that we're asking you to use in OnCourse. So we've already pulled about a month's worth of data. Half of those have not these codes on them. So when we analyze the data, we have to then recode it before we can bring that data to you. So just a reminder, and there's even examples on there, like if it's disruption of a learning environment in OnCourse, it could be any of those things. So like someone's just not following your classroom rules, like not once obviously, but to a fault. Or talking excessively, or they signed the expectation sheet so many times. That's disruption of a learning environment. Then in the little, so down here it says, for all codes in the public section, that's where you describe what happened. So maybe you choose inappropriate behavior or interactions, and then in the comments you put cursing out a student or flipped off a student. So we can then categorize it. Thank you. And then just a reminder, serious and persistent misbehavior is only for when you send a student out of your classroom for short-term ISS. And that would be one that you would want to click the little notify administration box. And then please, please, please put in the comments what happened, so that they can follow up if necessary, especially if it becomes habitual.
If you could please put this, maybe by your computer, just to have that, to look at it. I look at this to see what I need to do when I put something in OnCourse. This will, guide you, like I said. It takes hours just to gather that, the data. And when it's not put in properly, it takes even more hours. So we would appreciate really trying your best to follow this.
Or feel free to call and say, like, what do you want me to put this in as? Because I grab my little orange sheet from last year every time I put in whatever happens, because I don't remember.
Right here, this is just a breakdown from last year's discipline. So this is when most of the referrals come in OnCourse. So as you can see, we're about to have
Get ready.
our first spike. And that's just due to being comfortable. They're finally comfortable, especially the sixth graders even, and where we're at. So your positivity, your CKH training really is going to have to come in handy here. You're really going to have to use your 4 questions and know that it's coming. So maybe even hand out more of the rank bucks. Yeah.
This is just the data by numbers. So the blue bars is before we even had PBIS. We knew last year the red bars would significantly spike because we were specifically watching for things. We were specifically asking y'all to use those codes. So like this is the numbers for disruption of a learning environment. It went from 67 up to over 200. But the good news is, oh wait, I think I put some of those in this week. But the good news is before I did that, there was only 1 so far this year. So awesome. C-halls, this will change too since we don't give these anymore. We'll have to start pulling data on teacher detentions, but again, significantly less now, but spiked in those fancy months last year. This is short-term ISS, so again, we've only had like 1 per month so far at the beginning of this year. As you can see, they, just like Chelsea said, they spike in October. So just make sure if that happens that you're using the right code in OnCourse. And then we've had an active beginning of the year for partial ISS and OSS, so hopefully that stays down for the rest of the year. But we'll keep adding to that as we go.
Okay, so in year 1 of just last year with PBIS, we have an overall decrease in events in general. We do have a significant increase in positive hallway behavior. We want to see more of the admin, that's what you all told us, and their presence in the hallway. We want to be recognized more, and the data spiked when we expected it to spike.
All right, so we're changing we had the board last year where they gave us a number, it was a whole ordeal, okay? So this year, the admin, counselors, and Ms. Rumsey, woo-hoo, thank you for helping out. They are going to be giving out tokens. So their goal is to give out 5 tokens a week. And right now, we're trying to get that system, like how we're going to put our names on it. So right now, we're saying we're going to use a dry erase marker or a Vista bead. And there's a bucket. There's this clear bucket here. And it's by Ms. Fatah's desk on the bookcase, so you can drop your token in the bucket, and then admin will be pulling from the bucket sometime on Fridays to just announce a winner and give us whatever gift they choose to give us. It's going to be a surprise, so just be happy, be excited about it. And also, like today during the staff meeting, they will pull from the bucket as well, and we will get a chance to spin the little wheel. We all will be excited if everyone is a jeans fan.
Yes.
Or jeans tomorrow. So, but yeah, so they're going to be coming around, giving us tokens. So let's make sure we're getting to our hot spots on time, saying those positive words to the students as we give out the round bucks. And so also on our bye days, on Friday, so not this next Friday is our first Friday. And we're gonna have buckets. And so when the students decide to ride, they will be separated by grade level. So we will have a 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and maybe an elective bucket. I don't know. We've been thinking about that too. We might need to add electives as well. So that way, on those Friday bye days, they will pull for one round buck from each bucket. And that way, we kind of, because sometimes, admin may not get to the 8th grade hall, or we may not see them in 7th grade. So we're trying to spread the love evenly, right? So we all want to feel the love. So that way they'll pull a round buck from a grade level. So it doesn't matter who you give it to because your name is on it. So just make sure we can read your name. So when the students turn them in, if you're a 7th grade teacher, your buck will go into the 7th grade bucket, regardless of who you gave that buck to, right? And then they will pull on those Friday bye days, and then you get another gift. All right? Is that it? All right.
All right, so as Kenji said, our Ram Store's grand opening is Friday, September 27th. I know my kids have already been talking about it, and they're super excited, so I'm hoping that your kids are beginning to talk about it. We have that amazing announcement that Lauren Caton, shout out to her, made, and thank you, Bill's kids, for making it. But the Ram Store is going to be open, like the announcement has been saying, once a month it's typically the last Friday of every month. Some are just a little bit different due to holidays and stuff like that. Please let your kids know that they need to start holding on to their Ram bucks. Please don't lose them because they can accumulate and use them throughout the year. Because if they are interested in one of our hot ticket items, like we're getting AirPods, yes, real ones. Sheridan has them. They're real, so you can tell them they're real. Somebody thought they were going to be used because I said the word donations, and they were like, "Wait, what?" So we clarified that in my advisory class. Anyways, okay. So they're like, "Oh, I want those AirPods, so I need to keep up with my bucks." That's totally fine. They don't have to buy every Friday. They can keep them and accumulate them throughout the year. And then at the end, if they're like, someone those AirPods bought us, but whatever.
Just one quick thing, I just wanted to make sure. We have an announcement out right now. We're working on a new one to remind the kids for next week that the Friday Bye Day is coming up. And then Margie and I are also working on getting you guys a slide for advisory on Monday. So when you get that slide, make sure you pull it up and give the kids the information about Friday Bye Day next week.
Okay. Mrs. Mack and the PTA are they're partnering together to run the store during lunches. But if you want to come down and see it, I can't wait to see it this Friday. I'm going to come to lunch. So it's going to be held on the stage. So we're going to have, I think this time, 3 different tables, a $1 table, a $2 table, and a $5 table. And then we're going to have the hot ticket item just kind of posted off to the side, like, look what you could get, just kind of a little emphasis. And so kids will be able to come up and, buy whatever it is they want if they are interested in getting something that day. But again, they can keep them.
And guys, I've already gone shopping I have a ton of stuff in my living room. We had to separate it out. But if you know, the PTA gave us $2,000 to start off with. So that's great, but when you have to go to places like Walmart, $2,000 may go as far as you want it. So if y'all know businesses, like if your spouses or somebody knows somebody that wants to donate to us, please, please, please send them our way because we will take it. I even went to the dollar store and spent like $100 of my own money just to make sure that we'll have enough. So I know for each lunch we have over 150 items. So, and that's including 2 AirPod sets, and we still have money to pay again. So we got to spread that out because we're doing it every month. So just know that, kids picked it. I've got this from kids, and so they're pretty excited.
And I know we have been struggling trying to figure out like how many Ram bucks the students may actually have. And I know, so I had a 7th grader tell me today that he has $35.
Oh my gosh.
Kids are manipulating the system. Like seriously, I talk or chat amongst the kids because they keep trying to hustle these Ram bucks. And what they tell me is, if you're really nice to teachers and you compliment them, then you get bucks if they're not ready.
I know it's happening, but
No, I'm kidding.
I get told I'm pretty every day, and I'm like, ramp please know, and we kind of altered this, I don't know if it was clearly communicated, so we just wanted to make sure and announce this today. But you can give out a ramp basically in any common area of the school. I know that our PBIS is focusing on hallways, dismissal, and cafeteria, thank you. But like, I'm in the gym every Monday morning. That's a common area, so Megan and I have a lovely time in there.
Yes.
But if you see someone doing something great and they're, doing what they're supposed to be doing in that common area, give them a RAM book. It's totally fine. I give RAM books every day at my hotspot. Pass them out. You could come to cafeteria. Pretty lovely. I'm going to do that. Kudos to you. But bring your RAM book and hand out RAM books because, they work super hard in here, I know, to keep this madhouse under control, so maybe that might help, I don't know. But please note, any common area, you can give out a RAM book. Okay, these are the dates of when the RAM store is going to be open. The beautiful Miss Devin is going to be sending you out a calendar invite for every Friday that it's going to happen. So that way it pops up in your email and then you can be like, oh yeah, and tell your advisory and remind your kids like, hey, make sure you have your books, it's Friday by day, or whatever, so.
I have all the invites ready to go. I'm going to send them out first thing in the morning, and it's going to have a reminder for you for 1 day in advance so that you can tell the students on Thursday. Okay, they're ready to go, they'll come out first thing in the morning.
Okay, motivation. So not all of us are Joys and Lawrence, love y'all, but, okay. Some of us are not, as happy as, they are, but that's okay. Just make sure that your motivation, your encouragement is genuine, okay? Don't just stand there and watch people go on the right, okay? Just smile, interact with them, and tell them, hey, good job, thank you for walking. Just whatever you can do to be positive, and buddy up with one of your teachers, okay? October is coming. Okay, October is coming. So, like today, I saw a kid help out with something, and I told the teacher, I was like, hey, did you see so-and-so? They, they showed whatever characteristic on the RAM book, and if you know a teacher's having a hard time and struggling, and just, we're all in the trenches together, be like, hey, this person did something awesome. Did you see that? I saw that too. And they can give a RAM book, okay? Find areas to encourage each other, to encourage the kids, because it will trickle down. So just be proactive in everything. Monitor it. If you don't, it's just going to become optional, and the kids feed off of our energy. So just be genuine, be consistent, and just help one another out, really.
All right. Is this the last part? Okay, so Mr. Fulton has a presentation that he needs to have done, so I'm going to just pull 3 names real quick, and then we can spin the wheel to the side. Thank you, ladies. All right, first one, Warren, come spin the wheel. You're welcome. Come spin the wheel. Swearingen. All right, so email me when you want to send it. Okay. Everybody trying, I'm trying.
Sonic dream. Oh!
What did you do? Next time, I only got to spin, so everybody that's in here, we're kids tomorrow.
Thank you, Lauren.
Okay, so some of y'all love this show, and I thought, what better way to start out a safety and security presentation? So I'm hoping that the sound works. Please enjoy.
fire safety talk, and nobody paid any attention. It's my own fault for using PowerPoint. PowerPoint is boring. People learn in lots of different ways, but experience is the best teacher. Today, smoking is going to save lives. Does anyone smell anything smoky?
Did you bring your jerky in again?
What's the procedure? What do we do, people? Oh, how did that happen? Down in the hall. No, we don't know that. The smoke could be coming through an air duct. Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! No, no, Michael, no! Touch the handle. If it's hot, there could be a fire in the hallway. What does warm mean? Not a viable option. What next? Don't try. Here's a door. Check that one out. How's the handle? It's warm. Go to bed. Well, another option. Jeez, okay, settle down, everyone. I forgot my purse. Leave it, woman. Get out of the way. Go, go, go. Things can be replaced, Phyllis. People, human lives, however, can... Ah, my hand, it's hot. This was hot, too. Okay, we'll track everyone for himself. Okay. Have you ever seen a burn victim? Procedure. Exit option. Where do we go, folks? Use a large cover mouth. What? A rag. A damp rag, perhaps. Let's remember those procedures. What are the options? Okay. That's the wrong way. We've already tried that. Remember your exit points. Exit points, people. What's next? Huh?
Stay alive, I'm getting help! Hold me up! You're too heavy! I only weigh 82 pounds! Say bandit!
911. Anyone? 911.
What do we do?
Use the surge of fear and adrenaline to sharpen your decision making. Okay, I have not time. The fire's shooting at us! Attention! Employees of Dunder Mifflin! This has been a test of our emergency preparedness.
All right, so hopefully none of our drills go like that. But I wanted to show y'all that video because the district is taking kind of emergency operation planning. Maybe this is not a new level. For me, it's a whole new level. And I'm kind of learning as we go with this. So I thank you for your flexibility and your grace as we kind of work through this. So I wanted to touch base on the procedures and kind of show you what some of the expectations are for us as a campus with the drills. So for fire drills, know where your exit is and where your alternate exit is. Check the map by the door in your room. All of you should have that. If you don't, let me know. I can print you off a new one. If you do not have a class, you still must exit the building. And then I'm not going to be sending out calendar invites to let you know that we're having a drill that day. It's just, as you have seen, it just kind of happens. What to take with you. So hopefully all of you kind of have some type of setup like this near your door. We have the red and green cards, your rosters, the map of your exit, and then the shelter room locations for if we have a tornado drill. All right, if you don't have any of those things, please let me know. Also, as you leave, if you are leaving and going by a restroom in your hallway, please just, hey, anybody in the restroom? Okay, and then keep going. I mean, primary safety is to get your class out as quickly and safely as possible. When outside, make sure the students line up in a single file line. Make sure the students are staying silent, that they're not running around, acting crazy. Take your roll and then hold up the red or green card. I know at the first fire drill there were some questions on when you should hold up which card. So holding up a red card, if you have a student that is absent or like in the restroom, you sent them out of the room and we just need to check on where their location is, whether you sent them to the learning lab, whether they did just leave the room, like I said, to go to the restroom, they asked to go see the counselor or something. We just need to check on their location. Now, if you know that they are like absent, like they haven't been there all day, I don't need to see a red card for that. We already know that they are gone, okay? If you know that 100% you have your kids that are supposed to be there, green card gone. Okay, it's just if you send kids out of your room and you don't know, then put up that red card so we can start checking for that, all right? Green card, like I said, you've taken your roll outside and everybody's there. If it is obviously not planned, it's an actual fire drill, you don't have a class, go to the area of need. Like if you know lunches are going on and there's a fire drill and it's 6th grade lunch, 6th grade teachers, if safely you are near the area, obviously like don't run across a burning building to try to get over here and help us, but if you're nearby, please come help. Yeah, obviously do not go through the school, the fire alarm goes off, just like that. All right, so fire drills, we have to have one per month. There's the 0 delay rule where you need to check the hallway first, but do not wait to evacuate. That comes more into effect if we are in a lockdown and the fire drill goes off. And so that, I believe it was the shooting in Florida where that happened, and that's when the student opened fire. So that is your best judgment as a teacher. If the fire alarm goes off during a lockdown, please don't stay in your room. But like check, use your common sense, and if you can safely exit the building, safely exit the building. That's kind of the expectation for that. The Frisco Fire Department will also get with me. One of our fire drills throughout the year has to be a safer test, and I'll give y'all more information. Shelter in place, we just had our first one of those last week. That's for bad weather. Make sure you have, like I said, that paper in your room that tells you which classroom to go to. Pretty much, if you're in an exterior room, you need to get to an interior room that has no windows. Even if your room has no windows, but it's on the outer edge of the building, you need to move to a safer location. And there has to be one per semester, and then the first one has to occur within the first 31 days of school. Lockout. By the way, awesome job with that yesterday. That was like for real, 100% legit. There was a incident that happened just a few streets away from us in this neighborhood, and they were searching for a guy, didn't know where he went, so that's why they put us on the lockout. So that one's no one in or out. We walked the buildings and nobody was in lockdown. So that was great, and good job on understanding those different procedures. And the kids were asking me, they're like, how do we know if it's a drill or not? Well, that same PA system that we use, it will say, this is a drill, and then tell you what the drill is. When it's an actual incident, it's just gonna say lockdown or lockout. I can clear an actual lockout with just me coming over and saying the lockout is cleared because we're not worried about anybody being in the building, so it's just me coming across and letting you all know.
It's really hard to hear sometimes.
If it's locked, it says lock down, lock out.
Yeah,
So
it's difficult.
with
It's
the
hard
same
to tell
word.
what it
Okay.
says. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, if we say something like out, lock out or something.
I'll look into it and
Yeah.
see.
We couldn't tell you.
We were like,
So a hold, which is a little bit different than a lockout, there will be a PA announcement that will come over and say hold. Teachers will hold the students in their classroom until the hold is lifted. So a lockout, business as usual. You can still move around, especially during a passing period. A hold, you keep those kids with you until you are released. If you're in the gym with a bunch of kids, you're staying in the gym. Okay, we're not moving into the locker rooms. All right, if you're in the library, we're not going back to our class to hold. We're holding in the library. Okay, wherever they are, we're just staying put until you are released from that. There's got to be one per semester, and the first one had to occur within the first 31 days of school. We're already 24 days in, just so y'all know that's 13% of the year. Okay? So we're getting close. I got about 6 school days left to get the rest of the drills in. Lockdown. So you'll hear that PA announcement, same thing, kind of come over like we are going into a lockdown. Move the kids away from doors and windows. Remove your lockdown magnet. Lock the door, so your door should always be locked and have that magnet. If you don't have one, I have extras, let me know. Here's something that I have seen, and I just want to clarify kind of what the directive is. Your windows should never be covered during the day on your door, ever. Like, someone should always be able to walk by and look into your room whenever during the day when students are in there, okay? If you go into a lockdown, that is when the window needs to be covered. We're not just, because here's my thought. I walked by rooms during our lockdown drill. I see stuff piled on the desk and the lights are off. There's students in that room, so I'm going to try to get in that room. So I need you to put a paper, something. You can get real cute with it. In my old school, somebody made me one. It was like fabric, and it was on a rod, and I hung it over the window, and it draped down. It was awesome. I'm not that skilled. I can't make that for you. But if some of y'all want to make something like that, I can show you pictures. Courtney has literally a piece of butcher paper folded in half, like taped to the back of her door. So if she had to close her door in her office, she'd just move it over and tape it over and be done with it. It can be as simple as that. But no covering of the glass other than if we are in a lockdown or a lockdown drill. Is that clear with everyone?
Well, they told us before we could do like halfway cover, especially when we're by the bathrooms, because kids are always trying to get attention of other kids.
I will touch base with that, but for my preference, Mac, do you have a preference on that?
We got communication, they changed all the drills, they told us not at all.
Nothing. Okay.
Yeah, even for SBS, like, it's like, well, if the behavior's going on, then we can put it up, but on like a regular day, we're not supposed to have it. That was the clarification.
Okay. All right, so if you have kids in the hallway during a lockdown drill, you cannot open the door for them once you have locked in. I know that's really hard, and it's kind of it's a tough thing to kind of swallow when you know that there's a kid out there, but you do not know if they are being coerced to try to help you get someone access to that room that should not be there. We need to have those conversations with our kids. Like if they are in the hallways and they hear something going on at the other edge of the building, if you can get out of the building, get out of the building. Run to Heritage, run into the neighborhood, like get away. Most of them, we tell them not to have their phones, but they do anyways. So call for help at that point. Like we need to have those very real conversations with them because when we did the lockdown drill, I'm walking around and here comes Caraway out of the bathroom. Sorry, I was in the bathroom. Okay, well, we're not going to do that. So instruct them if you're in the bathroom and you don't feel safe, just stay in the bathroom, sit on a stall, pick your feet up, whatever.